Welcome to the Life's Best Medicine podcast, where we are finding hope and healing one episode at a time. No appointment needed, no rubber gloves, and no coping. Just a healthy dose of life lessons to help equip you for this wild journey we call life. Hey everyone, it's May. Gosh, can you believe it? Summer's coming up. We have a lot of fun stuff planned, a lot of traveling and all those kind of things. So hopefully you stock up on Simply Snacking. They're the people who made these podcasts possible. They have paid the bills a little bit and helped to do the production and all that kind of stuff. So please support them. Get their healthy chicken and beef products. You can put them in your carry-on bag. You can stick them in the little seat compartment in front of you on the airplane, which is what I do when I travel. And then you don't have to have the chips and crackers and all the other stuff that they're going to pass out to you. So, please support them. They believed in me when this podcast started, and I am very appreciative to all the listeners. And hopefully, you're getting something of value. We're talking about relationship. We're talking about sleep. We're talking about all the other things that matter, not just what we're eating. But if you're going to be eating something, make it Simply Snacking. So thank you so much for your support and for listening. Have a great day. Hello and welcome back to the Life's Best Medicine podcast. If you haven't listened already, go listen to Low Carb MD. We have Triple J with us. What a blessing he is. Awesome guy. We met giving a little talk at Harvard to the medical students there, talking about what is possible. What can we do with lifestyle? What can we do with changing what we're doing? And so you're in for a special treat. Triple J, welcome, man.
Hello, Brian. How are you doing today, sir?
Great to have you with me, man. We need to inspire some people. And, the thing I loved about you was you were telling your story and, we're talking to a panel of people and you said, hey, I don't want to offend anyone, but, God had a role in this. And would it be okay if I talk about it? I'm like, I know the perfect place for you to talk about this stuff because we're united that way. We really want to get stories out and be able to share the truth and what we believe and what inspired us and maybe help some people along the way who are kind of sitting on the fence or not sure what's happening. So in a nutshell, tell people your story, basically going back, when, going through a divorce, life's messed up. You start not having a great lifestyle and where you ended up.
Well, I actually came from a place of depression, which came from a divorce that I had in 2008. It was, the one thing that I wanted was a family growing up because I didn't have one growing up. I didn't have my father. My mother was there raising me and my sister the best that she could. But I didn't have the whole family aspect. And I said, when I grow up, I'm going to have that. So grew up, got married, and about 9 years later, my wife wanted a divorce. And so we got a divorce. And I had 3 kids at the time. And it kind of just broke me to lose the one thing that I've always wanted. That led me into a spiral of depression, self-inflicted suffering that I gave to myself as well. And I say that because I started eating foods just to pacify the pain and the loss that I had, trying to make myself feel better. That cycle went on for a little while, a couple of years. And then 2010, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And so I was in denial about that at the time. And so I actually continued in the bad behavior that I had and kept eating and the cycle of just eating whatever, all kinds of carbs and sugars and a bunch of Oreos and pizzas and chips, all that stuff, the feel-good foods, as we call them, the comfort foods, as we call them. And I did that for 11 years. I just ignored what the doctor said. And my blood sugars, when I did check them, were running. When I really felt bad in my body, I would check it because I would get scared because how my body felt. And I had sugars of 300 and 400 and even 500 at times. But it didn't scare me enough to change. And so that cycle went on for 11 years. And then one fateful morning, Saturday morning, January 30th, 2021, I woke up and I felt the worst that I've ever felt in my life. The date is significant because I was 30 days into January after I had made so many New Year's resolutions in December of 2020. And I'm 30 days into January and hadn't done any of the stuff I said I was going to do about eating right and being more healthy and exercising. So I was depressed and I was ready to just give up. And I really had given up right there. And I was throwing in the towel. I was like, what's the use? My family gone. The diabetes is killing me. There's no hope for me. I can't change. I'm just done. And then I heard a voice from heaven, and I heard it clear as day. And he said, hey, how much longer are you going to lay there and kill yourself? And so I rose up with fear for the first time in my life, and I prayed. I told God that, hey, I don't have any willpower, self control, or discipline. I said, I'm eating all this stuff. I know it's not good for me, God, but I'm eating it because I'm depressed from my divorce. I'm still hurt. I can't fix the hurt. I don't know how to. Now I'm addicted to all these bad foods. I can't stop eating. I really need some help. I really need some help. And I said, I feel like today, if I turn to you in prayer, I believe that you're going to help me. And so me and God made a deal that day that I was going to try and he was going to help me. And so that was the beginning of the turnaround of my journey.
Yeah, and you had a friend too, right? That had told you about like low carb and keto and all that stuff a year before that you kind of blew off because you said, I'm not doing all this crazy stuff.
Well, here's the thing. That's what's crazy about me turning to God that day. He dropped that same woman in my spirit to call her again. And I was like, I don't know about that, man. I wasted her time a year. You know what I'm saying? She was doing keto. I seen it. I seen she had amazing results, losing massive amounts of weight from her second baby. I knew she knew what she was doing, but I had contacted her a year before. And when I got her book, I was like, oh my God, where's my mashed potatoes, French fries, my mac and cheese? Where's that at? No Oreos. God, I'm not doing this. And then what convinced me really not to do is when I went to the doctor and they told me that keto would kill me. There's no way the diabetic can do keto. So I ran from her, and that was a year before. And so now I'm back at this place where God's telling me to call the same woman that I ghosted. And so I felt kind of bad about it, but I said, I'm just going to reach out anyway. And I reached out to her, and she was very receptive. I said, listen, I need some help. I really want to change. I'm ready. I'm really ready today. I'm ready. And she said, sure, Triple J, when you want to start? And so in my mind, it was Saturday. I remembered that I had previously bought a book from her a year before, but it was at my job at work. So I was like, well, we'll start Monday because I don't have any information in front of me of your book. And she said, no, 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 no. We're going to start right now. I said, now? She said, right now. Get up from that bed, get down to the stove. I'm going to be texting you some recipes while you're going. Let's go. So I got up, I went to Aldi's, went and got my first ingredients for my first meal. I took a picture of it and sent it to her because I wanted her to know I was serious. So I sent it to her and went home, made the meal. It was taco soup. I made it. The kitchen smelled heavenly. I went ahead and tried it. It was phenomenal. And I called her. I said, you can't be right. This can't be right. This tastes too good to be healthy. She said, sure, Triple J, it's keto, it's healthy, it's great for you. I said, well, if I can have food that tastes good like this all the time, I can do this lifestyle. And so that was the start of my journey. I also got Clubhouse the same day, and she told me to join this group called Keto for the Soul, full of people that have hope and inspiration, motivation and encouragement for me because they were on the same journey path as I was. And so I joined that group on Clubhouse as well. So I had my community, and I had my faith, and I had my coach. I had a three-hit combo, you know what I'm saying? And so doing that, it was the start of my journey.
Yeah, and that's amazing. You know, a lot of people say, "Well, how do you know that's not a coincidence? It's God and all these things." But when you hear God speak to you, right, that's just something that I want to do this podcast because it's such a foreign idea to people. And you know, generally, I don't hear that auditory sound, maybe, but it may be like, "Hey, you really should reach out to this person," or maybe that you should help that lady load her groceries and crazy. We call them divine appointments. Sometimes like things happen and just because you put yourself out there and you feel a nudging or some people may call it an intuition or something like that. Have you had this before? Anything like this where you go, okay, this is what I need to do?
Well, this was the first time that I knew God spoke directly to me, like right there. He was like, hey, with such force. It was almost like he was telling me, this is it, buddy. You need to wake up. And it was almost like I resonated with it and my spirit did. And I knew I had to change that day because I felt death in my room. I woke up that morning feeling so bad, but when God spoke to me, I knew it was Him, and I knew that I needed to change that day, or I wouldn't be around here much longer.
Yeah, and then you reach out to a friend, and you were thinking like, I don't want to reach out to her again because I wasted her time before and I didn't listen, and she had grace for you and said, hey, let's do this thing, right?
Yes, and most people, when that happens, you interact with somebody on some kind of product they got or some kind of friend that has something to offer, and then you ask them and inquire about it, and then you don't do nothing. Most time they just close the door on you. You know, when you come back, you know they really don't receive you. But she didn't do any of that. She didn't bring up the past and say this or that, and she actually said no. She said, "I'll help you." And so, what was great about that, it taught me that when God aligns something for you, He sets it up, and He sets it up so good that nothing can stop it. And I think people need to really look at turning to God. See, this is the thing. All those years of diabetes and depression, I never turned to God. I was just trying to handle it myself. I wanted to take it upon myself to fight and do this on my own without God, without asking Him what to do, without asking for His help. I wanted to handle it. But this day that I turned to Him in prayer and actually turned it back over to Him and said, I can't do it without you. I believe that if you help me, I can do this. So I put God in the driver's seat instead of the passenger seat like I had him in. Because if I would have to this a long time ago, then I wouldn't be sitting here probably talking to you now. And I say that because I needed to go through those 11 years of type 2 diabetes. It's a part of my story. I needed to go through that. I wouldn't change that right now. I needed to go through all the pain and the suffering, the mental pain, the physical pain. I needed to go through that because now I can tell you that change is possible even at your lowest point. I don't care how long you've been down, that you can get back up again with the help of the Lord.
Yeah, that's such an important thing because us guys, we want to do it on our own. You pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you do your thing, and like, I can do this. I don't need help. I'll do it on my own. And we struggle and we suffer, and we have to go through the suffering sometimes to really realize, like, okay, they say you know, until you hit rock bottom at some point, or you realize I cannot do this on my own. I've been a disaster for 11 years. I'm eating everything that to fill those wounds, just to feel good temporarily, whether it be drugs, alcohol, pornography, whatever it is. We're trying to fill that space, and we don't know how to do it, and we're lost.
And what's great about what you just said is anything that any kind of addiction, you know what I'm saying, that we can do. I know mine was food, but you do have drugs, alcohol, pornography, whatever you do to make you have a temporary moment of satisfaction or a temporary escape, as I call it, because your problems are still there. You may do all these other things to try to pacify it, but ultimately the problem still exists until you address the problem.
And ask for help sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Our pride won't let us ask for help.
Yeah, pride's
And,
the huge step. I think that pride is such a huge thing because you go, no, I've never done that. I'm never gonna ask God. I'll do it myself, or I'm never gonna ask that person who, thinks I'm a loser because I didn't do what they said before.
and see, God is there waiting. He's waiting on us. We don't we don't have to try that hard. All we gotta do is ask him. And the thing is, we feel like we can handle it by our power. But the Bible says, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. So we have to lean and depend and trust in him and lean not to our own understanding. We don't need to try to do things with our power. I'm gonna handle it, God. You stay over here. I got this one. That's not no, no, no. But when you are able to say, God, fight for me, because the battle is not mine, it belongs to you. When you're able to do that, you give God the confidence and the push, you know what I'm saying? Say, hey, I know you're God. You handle it for me. I ain't figuring this one out, God. I gotta let you do it. When you can turn it over to him and really let him do it, beautiful things can happen. But we're so busy trying to handle things on our own. That's why we have stress and depression. That's why we turn to those different uh, uh, behaviors that don't serve us, like we were talking about before with the drugs, the alcohol, pornography, you know what I'm saying, and all these other kind of things that we do eating food and just binging and pacifying our pain instead of facing our pain and facing those problems and situations and then being able to heal from them.
Yeah, and in your story, there's so much that we, I was just seeing all these direct links or corollaries with faith and with low carb and all these things. And I haven't really talked about it publicly, but a funny thing that happened was I was at a low carb meeting. It was a local thing here in San Diego. I wasn't known yet. I was just a doc trying to figure this stuff out. And I had done a tweet 2 days before that about one of my patients who basically came off all of her meds, a miracle story kind of like yours. And, she went to after all that, she came off all of her insulin. She was on a huge dose of insulin. She was actually in the movie Fat Fiction, ultimately, but she had come off all these meds and she was going to be in this study. And in the study, they said, oh, yeah, everything looked good. She came off her meds and normalized her 3-month sugar average. Everything was normal. But to be in the study, they said, well, you have to eat carbs and we're going to give you insulin to get rid of the carbs. And she called me and I said, that's crazy. Why would you want to eat carbs just so you could be on insulin? You don't want to be on insulin. You got off. That's like me saying, hey, we got you off heroin. Let's give you a shot of heroin every once in a while. It doesn't make sense. So anyways, I posted that. It got zero traction because no one knew who I was. And then that night I was at a meeting and it was low carb people, Doug Reynolds, Low Carb USA, and most people were non-believers there. And so I was sitting there and he was telling a story about trying to tell someone, look, you have diabetes. I can help you. All these things could be better. And he said, have you ever had a time in your life when something can help someone and then they look at you like you did, just put the book away. I'm not listening to it. I don't want to hear it. I got it. And I said, yeah, I feel that way. And everyone looked at me and I said, and I thought, oh no, I don't want to say, but the Lord said, say it. And I said, as a Christian, when I say, hey, look, I know you can have a joy. I know you can have peace. I know you can get over addiction. I know I have the medicine for you, but you don't want to take it. And you look at me with a blank stare. That's exactly how I feel. And that's how I felt my whole life. So being low carb is no new thing to me because that's how it is. And the funny thing is, right after I said that, my phone beeps and I look and it's like, oh, you just got retweeted by Tim Noakes. Oh, you just got retweeted by Gary Fettke. Oh, all the head people in the low carb community. I'm like, hey guys, maybe the Lord just wanted me to humble myself a little bit. And then all these doors open, ridiculous doors open. I tell my wife, all these doors are opening. I'm not even knocking on the dang door anymore. And it's opening, And so sometimes just humbling yourself and saying, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it. And that's how this podcast came around too. I was like, I can't hide who I am because you don't like it. I got to speak the truth.
And yeah, I think what people have to do is speak the truth. One thing when I was in my community sharing my story, I always told it the way we're talking right now. I told them about me being in my bed, giving up, and God speaking to me. And I was kind of afraid sometimes to say it because I felt like that may offend somebody, but I put that to the side and I said, no. One thing about a story, you cannot just go into the library and pick up a book. This is for the ones that still go to the library. I know we're not doing that no more, but to go to a library and take a book of a story and rip out 10 pages. Is that a complete story? No. And that's how I look at my story. I'm going to tell all of it, every bit of it, so people can understand what happened to me. Now, I'm not going to put God off to the side because people are offended. I'm going to tell the story in my way. They don't have to listen. They don't have to resonate with it. They don't have to like it. This is what really happened. Not fabricated, not to be up here to give no show to nobody. This is what happened to me. This is what happened in my room that morning. This was the conversation I had with God. And what's crazy, I've been in church since 1998. I got saved and gave my life to the Lord and was a deacon for all those years when all this was going on. So I was going to church and serving, but still depressed, still stressed out, still battling things, coming and serving the Lord, teaching Sunday school, all this kind of stuff I was doing, being my pastor's armor bearer, driving the church van, doing stuff with the youth department, doing all of these things, and still depressed, still sick, still messed up. But it was that one morning that I just decided to really turn to him because I had never given it to him before. And so I could just imagine what God says, hey, what took you so long?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the prodigal son, right? It's like, hey, my arms are open. Let's do this thing. And did you know right away? Did you know like, okay, I got this. I'm fired up. Or did you have to test the waters and say, okay, what's going to happen with this thing? Did you say, look, I'm done. I'm ready to go?
When I first started, I had no faith in any of this. Not gonna lie to you. I did it scared. I was terrified. I didn't know if this was gonna work. I didn't know if it was gonna have any effect for real. When I first started out, I did it on blind faith because I remember the lady that had been doing it, my friend Marquita Bradford. So I was like, well, she lost all this weight, this baby weight, and looks amazing. Maybe she can help me. I had no idea the things that were going to happen to me doing this. Um, but it was a great journey. I was able to put my type 2 diabetes in remission. I was able to lose over 47 pounds. I'm the healthiest that I've ever been, you know what I'm saying, in a long time. And I'm even doing more and more to improve that every day. I'm walking now. I couldn't even walk a quarter of a mile last year. Now I'm walking 3 miles a day. I'm going to be in my first 5K in June and then another one in August. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just doing the things that I have to do to become more healthy. And it's been working for me. I never thought any of this was going to happen for real. I didn't know, but I'm so glad that I was able to change.
Man, that's the miracle in it. So when people say, well, miracles don't happen, I look at you as a miracle, right? Because I know just because we talked on the other podcast about your A1C is over 12, your sugars are 300, 400, you're a disaster eating. You told us all the stuff you were eating and macaroni and cheese and honey buns and desserts and all this stuff. And you're kind of hostage to that, and you just can't break free and you want to, and it's bad for you, but you keep going down that path. You should exercise, but you don't have the energy and everything hurts. And, so many people are in that, not only physically, but spiritually also. Right. Um, then there's making a change, a step, taking that first step or having someone who believes in you and the importance of community. You make that point also.
Yeah, without the community aspect of all of this would have never worked. The one thing that I did like about Weight Watchers when I tried it was not the getting on the scale and looking at your numbers or having to write down everything you eat and the points and adding up points and all of that like Weight Watchers does. But the one thing that they got right to me was the community aspect. When we had Weight Watchers meetings, we would go weigh in, then we would come sit in a room with all of us and we all would talk about our wins and different things that didn't work. And we would talk and have a little therapy session. That was beautiful. So when I got to Clubhouse and Keto for the Soul, that was my therapy session. I was surrounded by people that had figured it out. I was surrounded by people that were positive, that were encouraging, and motivating. And so I borrowed their belief in this thing because I didn't have it at first until I start seeing my blood sugar go down by eating and to see the A1C coming down. Then I started believing in it, man. It was undeniable. But when I first started, I didn't have any faith in it because I didn't know. But as I began to do it, I said, wow, God is really healing my body. And I gave my body a break from all of the garbage and crap that I had been eating for decades, where God could come in and heal my body as well. So between the eating better, we're on keto and intermittent fasting that I was doing, on my second month of keto, I was able to really do some great things in my body. So when I was doing that, God was healing my body, man. I will not take credit for any of that. I know He healed my body, and He's continuing to heal it even to this day. I just got through doing a 83-hour fast. It was awesome. I felt awesome when I was doing it, and I'm doing some work to repair all of the damage that I've done, and so it's just a great journey.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's, I mean, your story too, spiritually speaking, is this like saying, okay, I've done so much damage. I've done the wrong thing. I've lied. I've stolen. I've done whatever, and getting a divorce, whatever baggage you hold on to. And you were saying, you'd walk by the mirror and not want to look for a while. Now you're
Yes.
flexing and posing and smiling and doing all this other stuff, right?
Oh man, come on, don't do me like that. But yes, I couldn't look into the mirror for years because I was so depressed about the things that I had done as far as even my marriage. You know, I had a hand in my marriage too. We got married young. We both came from broken homes and we got married way too early. We really did. We should have got to know each other a little bit more time. We should have really understood what marriage really was. Marriage is about a commitment that you make one to another. It's about working together, being together, encouraging one another, uplifting one another, going through the tough times together, really committed to that. Not just getting married to roll around in the bed sheets. That's not going to get it. There's so much more to marriage than that. And so I didn't understand that, and she didn't. And so that was a black mark on me forever. You know what I'm saying? So I was always looking at the mirror like, you failed, you loser, you didn't complete. That's all I saw when I looked in the mirror. But when I started on this journey, I was able to go to the mirror and do some work. I went to the mirror for the first time and started talking to myself and forgiving myself for what I done, forgiving myself for always working all the time and not paying attention to my wife, and which led to the devil creeping in and destroying my marriage, you know, with outside interference, you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so because of the things that I'd done, God began to show me,
First Lady
he
LaShonda
began
Carr.
to he began to show me he began to show me some things that I needed to do as far as my life goes. And so the first thing I had to do was forgive myself. I was way too heavy on myself, way too heavy. And the first thing that he told that he I talked to myself about is I forgive you, Jonathan. I forgive you for all of the things that you done that weren't right, all the things you done that kind of messed up your body, all the things you done to mess up your spirit. You could be in church and still be depressed. You can still be in church and still be messed up. I'm telling you, I know. I was over here serving the Lord and still messed up, still depressed, still upset. You
Yeah, and
know,
that's an important point because I've taken care of pastors over the years and priests and people struggling with depression. They go, "Who do I talk to?" You can't really talk to them because if you're depressed and you're a pastor, like, "Oh, you don't have faith." Like, there's chemical imbalances, there's poor food, there's all these things that can affect those things, and so it's a hard thing in the church too. They people don't understand mental health and anxiety and stress. Like, okay, if you don't have, you must not have faith then, right?
yeah, I think we get it confused though, you know, when it comes to that. You know, it's like, don't think because people in church ain't going through no problems. I mean, they do.
Yeah, and people think they have to be perfect to go to church. Go, guess what? Look around you. Like we're a disaster, right? The church is a disaster, but it's like you were saying too. It's a sense of community and knowing, hey, if I'm off track, someone's gonna say, hey, Brian, you're off track. Like I've noticed how you're speaking to people. What's going on? Just having someone put their arm around you, like your friend, saying, hey, I want to help you. Here's what's helped me. Can I help you again? Right? Those kind of things are huge, huge things. And so many people isolate or they go to a church and they don't talk to anyone. They go, well, they weren't friendly to me. It's like, how friendly were you when you walked in? Right. So we have to take some personal responsibility for those things too.
We do. And what's crazy when I was doing that mirror work, as they call it, and I didn't even know it was mirror work when I was doing it. After I forgave myself, I was able to start healing. As I was healing, I was able to go in the mirror and say, hey, Jonathan, you're worthy to be loved. I know you had a divorce and, you know, your wife didn't want you anymore, but there'll be somebody for you one day. You'll be able to be happy. You'll have your happiness. You're a good person. You're worthy to be loved. You deserve to have love. I had to start telling myself that. Then it kind of grew. I started pouring into myself by saying, hey, you're powerful. You're strong. Uh, you know, you're going to be all right. You're going to be successful. You're going to rise up from this valley. You're going to be okay. And then it got very powerful. Then it started to be, hey, Triple J, you handsome thing, you. Let's go out here and conquer and dominate the day. You know why? Because you're the heavyweight champion of the world. Let's go out here and get it, baby. I start doing that and I start feeling myself with power and faith and strength and confidence when I start walking out the door. As I begin to do that, I start melting away, man. I start losing weight. People stop me at work, say, hey, man, you really need to go see about changing your clothes. I said, what are you talking about? I got nice clothes. What are you talking about? They're clean. I washed them and dried them. No, no, no. That's not what we're saying. Have you looked in the mirror lately? And I was like, yeah, I look at it all the time. They said, no. Have you really looked in the mirror? I said, okay, you need to go buy some new clothes. I went to the
Yeah.
mirror for the first time in my job and really looked at it, Brian. I had shrunk so much that all of my clothes I was sinking in my clothes. And for the first time, I seen my body and I was like, wow, this is working. That was the kind of faith that was pouring into me from God saying, if you let me help you, man, this is going to be an awesome journey. And I started losing weight. I started to change pant sizes and change shirt sizes. I started at my job with a 6X jumpsuit, work suit. It's like one of those onesie mechanic suits, right? It was 6X. I am currently in a 2X right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's amazing. And believing in faith and all these things. And then, also you had mentioned in our other interview about like, look in the mirror and then you see your old self saying, no, you're going back to where you were. You're going to fall again. And, that is such a spiritual thing also where we questions like, once if I go back to being the old jerk that I was, or difficult to get along with people or whatever. And when people see that change, it's hard to, for them to like rectify it or something, to understand it.
It's hard because they're still held captive, some of them. When you're still held captive, you can't see being free, can't understand. And some people can resonate with that because they want to be free. Some people that think they already got it figured out are not going to get it. They already have figured it out. They're convinced what they're doing is great. They're good. But some people are looking for answers. And so when they see somebody that has had a relationship with God and has had a powerful turnaround, then they can resonate with that because they want it too. But somebody that thinks that they have done it with their power, they've done it. It's on them. They got it. No God involved. You know what I'm saying? That's the part where people mess up at. Instead of giving God reverence of what he has done, they only give reverence to what they have done. And so they cannot understand this story that I speak because they have not given themselves over into giving it to God and acknowledging him as, the head of their lives. And because they haven't done that, they'll never understand a story like this.
Yeah, and pride before the fall. When you think it's all on you and it's all your power, you start realizing, uh-oh, I can blow it really quickly. We're all human and we know we can go off track, off the rails. I had a pastor one time tell me, goes, hey, Brian, you can have the happiest marriage in the world. Within 6 weeks, you could be a total train wreck in the divorce court. Like you make bad decisions and look what happens, right? So when you start thinking, hey, it's all about me, puff up your chest. So many people are like that. I've had people say, well, religion is for weak people. I'm like, okay, I'm weak then because it's helped me. I'll take it. I'll take the help then. If I'm happily married and my kids are good and I get along with people and I can go to sleep at night, I'll take it. I'll be weak. That's okay. I'll take it.
I think people, and I've said this, and you follow me for a second. Everybody has faith.
Yeah, I agree, man.
Everyone has faith. You know why? Either you have faith in him or you have faith in what you're doing and faith in you. We all have faith. We all have faith in doing bad or doing good. Whatever you give your energy to, that's where you're giving your faith to. Even an alcoholic, they believe in that alcohol gonna make them feel better, right? They give their faith. Their faith is in that. That's why they go buy it. Hey, this is gonna help me. This is gonna make me feel good. This is it. They feel it, even those that do drugs, these drugs are going to be the answer to all my problems. I got to stay high all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Or you get the right president, everything's gonna be great for me after that. Or you get the right whatever,
Oh
the
my
school board member,
God.
whatever, right? You're looking for that faith in that. And I agree. And I would argue that with my friends. They go, no, I don't have faith. I was like, do you drive through green lights? Do you look and do you assume the other light's red? That's faith, right? Because otherwise you
Everybody
both
has
have a green light,
faith.
you're dead.
Everybody has faith, man,
You get on
except
an
their
airplane,
faith.
you have faith in the pilot's gonna get you there safely.
They do, or they would not get on the plane, right?
Of course, right? Yeah. And so
They have
so that
faith.
that's why I love having discussions like this because it's hard. You get so someone will tell me, "Well, prove your faith," and I go, "If I could prove it, then it wouldn't be faith anymore, right?" Because if I have
Listen,
absolute proof, then I don't need faith anymore because I know what it is.
you have faith when you buy that ticket on your to go or wherever you're going. You ain't even thought about the plane's gonna crash, the pilot gonna be drunk. We're all gonna no. You over there have bought it. You're like, hey, we got it. We're good. We're gonna have this plane flight. I'm gonna get over there to Orlando or get to Hawaii, wherever I'm going. Have a good time. Come back. That's your faith. Everyone has faith. The thing is, their faith is misdirected. their faith is misdirected, if they can ever catch on to directing their faith and aligning it with God and letting God and acknowledging Him to be the head of their lives, the strength of their life, and the commander, the one that's in charge, put God first, beautiful blessings, beautiful deliverance, resurrections will happen. I was resurrected on that fateful day, January 30th, 2021. I was resurrected. And I'm gonna say this last thing, and I'm gonna leave you alone. Listen, you mess with me with the prodigal son. Let me come back to you for a second because this message came to me this week and I shared it on Clubhouse. I looked at the picture of me when I first got married. I think I was about 210 pounds. I looked good, brother. I was in my white suit. I was ready. I didn't have no Santa Claus belly. I had old flat stomach and stuff. And I was like, that guy was small, 210, 20 pounds. Okay. But what happened to me is I started thinking about that I ran away from home. And I ran far away from home by doing all the damage and things I did to my body over the years. So I ran away from home. And then I told myself, I'm coming home. I looked at that picture and I said, I'm coming home. The new Triple J here in the mind and in the heart is coming home back to that house that I had. So now I'm on a journey of getting my body into great shape, getting back to a good weight size as far as my height goes and to be healthy and to feel good on the inside. So I'm on my way. I've done a lot of work. I've lost over 40 pounds and I'm doing good there, but I need more work to do. And so I'm doing that work. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to evolve into greater versions of myself. And I said versions because as you get to one spot, you go to another, you go to another, you go to another. And as you evolve into greater versions of yourself, not just in weight, but here mentally and spiritually and in your heart and in your spirit, you're going to evolve even greater in those as well. And my thing now is to go across this world and to share my story. My story is not a keto story. My story is a story of hope and change that anybody at any given time in their life can tap into the power of belief in themselves. Once they do that, they can transform. Once they acknowledge God and say, hey, I am your son, I am your daughter. So I'm going to start tapping into the belief, because why sit there and say you believe in God and Jesus? He died and he and in 3 days he rose. Why say all of that and can't believe in yourself? So we must start tapping into that belief in us, just like we believe in the big man upstairs. And for all of those that believe certain ways, I'm not here to argue with that, but I am telling you that belief in yourself will change your entire life. It will change your entire life. And only you can do that. Only you can turn that light switch on. Only you can make the decision to be different. Only you can get up after you've been down for so long.
Yeah, and you made those points, and I think it's really important. And one other thing I wanted to tie into too is you were saying that when you were eating a bag of chips and cookies and donuts and drinking Coke all day and all that stuff, no one said anything. But once you start eating healthy, they say, "Uh-oh, Triple J, what are you doing, man?"
It's a funny story. I'm at work changing, prepping my food, cooking at home, bringing it into work. I'm coming into the break room at work and what's that you eating? Oh, what's that? That ain't go big man like you. That ain't gonna sustain you all day. And then, it went from that to, hey, Triple J, we brought these donuts in from Krispy Kreme and here you go. No, thank you. Oh, you're telling us no after all of the time you've been eating donuts? All of a sudden now you don't want any? I brought you a sausage biscuit today, Triple J. Do you want it? Nah, I'm good. Oh, so you're acting funny now? All of these things, people buying me chickens and people buying me pizzas and all this stuff they're bringing me, and I'm telling them no.
Well, that's
And
it. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You're right. The minute that I start changing, oh man.
Well, and the amazing thing is the corollary to that too is with faith, right? Once you start having faith, they go, "You're not cussing anymore. Oh, you're too good for us. Oh, you're not drinking. You're not getting drunk. How come you're not fighting with this person? How come you're not doing this?" It's like, really? Do you want me to be like that? do you really want me to go back to that? And when you lose the desire for these things that are not good for you, when you lose the desire and people look at you like, how come you're not right? So people will notice a difference in you, but they don't know what to make of that difference, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard because if you know you're not living right, you don't want to, if someone else, it's the same thing. If I have my group meetings we do Zoom meetings. I know my patients who don't show up are the ones who need it the most. The ones who don't go to church need it the most. The ones who don't go to the workout gym are the ones who need it the most, because you don't want to go to the gym when you're out of shape and tired and you're sweating really easy. And, it's hard to take those first steps and swallow our pride. I think that's one of the things. And, one of the, I kind of convicted a friend of mine. We were out for a bike ride, and these girls were walking by and they were all big. And he's like, why are they even here? And I said, man, you don't know where they are on their journey. How do you know they didn't need to lose 100 pounds already? How do you know that this isn't their first day? They said, let's do this, right? And they're going to help each other. Like, and I didn't mean it in that, but he a week later, he said, hey, you know what I said last week? It's bothered me all week. And I totally get it, because it's the same thing spiritually. You don't know where someone else is on their journey. So when you're in church and someone's struggling with alcohol, it's like, you don't know where they came from or where they're going and how that's going to be used in a mighty way down the road. Our struggles sometimes, like me struggling with my weight my whole life. And now I'm talking about low carb stuff. It's crazy how the Lord uses your weakness for your strength sometimes.
Yeah. And we just can't look at somebody's appearance and judge their whole life. All we see is the cover of the book. We ain't looked how long the book has been around. We ain't looked at all the information inside the book. We just looking at the cover of the book. And we get caught up in that, judging what we see. And that's why faith is so important to me. One of my favorite scriptures, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I was hoping for relief from diabetes. I was hoping for relief, but I never saw what really happened. I never saw any of this happening. I never saw me putting diabetes in remission. I never saw me actually changing in the mind as a person, loving myself for real and understanding what it means to truly love myself. I never saw all of this. And because that started coming to me, I started looking at people differently. I started looking at them saying, you don't know them, but everybody has a story. That's what kept coming to me. Everybody has a story. Every single person on the planet has some kind of story, and it's to be respected and reverenced. And I think we get so much into judgment when it comes to what we see. But if we could see with faith instead of seeing with our natural eyes, seeing with compassion and seeing with some sort of conviction, and start seeing things from the spiritual eyes instead of our natural eyes, we really, really could understand people a little bit better.
I think that is such a huge point. I think I've learned a lot because I know how many people I've judged over time. And, we had friends, and every Christmas Eve, they go to Balboa Park here in San Diego and go feed the homeless or sit and talk to people and bring them. And it's just so amazing. I mean, for me, I went begrudgingly. I'm like, I really don't want to do this. I'd rather be at home opening presents and hanging out. But man, I mean, what an impact. I know all my kids, like they force the issue now. They're like, Dad, we're going, right? We were out of town last year, and they're like, man, we missed that, because you go and you sit down and go, tell me your story. I'm like, you want to know my story? Yeah, I want to know your story. And you sit and talk to these people and you realize, wow, like, some of the kind and decent, like here's something that's important. Here's a picture I want to give you guys. Or, I've asked people like, hey, what do you need, man? I got food. I have all this stuff. And someone said, can you pray with me? And I was blown away. It's like, wow, that is like amazing. Like, with needs. Or the other thing that's amazing is I noticed that I would have food and the guy goes, I have enough food, but there's a guy around the corner that no one ever sees and he really needs food. Can you go around and take care of Tom around the corner? I was like, yeah, cool. Right. So things like that, where you just put yourself out there. And then another time that was crazy, a friend of ours, she brought all this toothbrushes and toothpaste and stuff. And I'm like, what are we going to do with that? And we get out, and it was kind of a rough area, and this lady is cussing like crazy. She says, all I want is an effing toothbrush. All I need is to brush my damn teeth. I can't even have that. And the lady goes, here you go. Do you need a toothbrush? Here you go. And the lady started crying, and she broke, like someone cares about me to give me a toothbrush. Little stuff like that that seems so crazy to us who have everything. But man, I think sometimes you put yourself out there and stop judging and kind of listen to someone and go, okay, I want to know where you come. Why do you hate God? I want to know that. And you start hearing the story and you go, okay, I get it. I probably would too if I were in your shoes. You after what you've been through, you know?
Yeah. And I think when we hear people and hear the reasons why they are the way they are, we understand a little bit better. And if we can start doing that, I mean, we'll sit and we'll say, well, this person don't believe in God, they're wrong. Well, okay, where are your questions at? Why don't they believe in God? What's
Hmm.
going on? What kind of past they had? What's the story? And once you start hearing the story, like, oh my goodness, wow, I understand. But also on the flip side of that, when they ask me, well, why does that guy believe in God so much? And then I tell them my story, they're like, oh, wait a minute, whoa, I can kind of see why he does believe. And so everybody's story should be respected. Everybody's. Everybody's beliefs should be respected. I don't come against people to say they don't believe in God and they believe in whatever they believe in. That's fine. But I just know that I believe in what I believe in. I have the proof is in the pudding. God has totally turned my life around. He really has. I've been saved since 1998, and God has blessed me tremendously over the years. But when it came down to me having that storm that was in my life, I had my Job moment, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And when I had that moment and went through all that I went through and was able to start to climb out of the valley and start climbing up the mountain, it was great and wonderful. It's a wonderful story. And I just tell people that God is the head of my life. I will not put him on the side. Whenever I tell my story, I will tell it that way, or I don't need to tell it.
Man,
And that's
that's
just how I feel about it. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why I wanted to have you here too, to say it in a kind, decent way and go, hey, look, believe what you want, right? Whatever works for you. If you want to be vegan, cool. If it's working for you and you're happy, cool. If you gain 80 pounds, maybe we should talk about trying something different, right? So I
Yeah,
think it's those kind of things.
because even we had this discussion in Clubhouse because everybody does different things for health. And so I was like, listen, because they were fighting one day on Clubhouse. I said, listen, I'm not here for all that. Let me explain something to you guys. If you do keto and it works for you, great. If you do pescatarian and it works for you, great. If you do carnivore and it works for you, great. If you decide to be paleo and it works for you, great. If you decide to be vegan, great.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you to help you. Because I said, listen, we all have the same goal to all be happy and healthy, right? So what are we fighting for? You know?
Man, you can talk to all the low carb keto, you can talk to all the people, and that's true. That's the truth. What works for you is working. Cool. I'm not going to argue with you. It's working. If it's not working, we might talk and say, hey, maybe drinking a gallon of vodka a day is probably not good if your liver's failing and you're sick every day. But so it's just got I love it, man. Because that's exactly what I saw in you when we were talking. I was like, man, you get a lot of life. I mean, it's not just about losing weight and coming off your insulin, getting your sugars under control, those kinds of coming up all your meds, but that's an outward manifestation of an internal change, right? So if everyone saw spiritually being 500 pounds and your sugars out of control, that stuff, I mean, we just can't see it because that's on the inside, and when you see it, you go, oh my gosh, I want to help that person. But so many times it's too ugly and it's too difficult. And you go, gosh, where do I start? And just taking those first steps in faith and saying, okay, I think I'm on the right track. I'm going to keep going. And you're not going to fix yourself. You're not going to come off insulin in a week. It's going to take time. And I think patience is a huge thing, and faith and being able to get up the next day and take that next step. I mean, that's the thing. And I'll tell you, one of the bigger shocks of me doing what I do is, on Twitter one time, I think you and I have talked about in the other podcast, maybe, or offline, but I said, hey, keep in this midst of COVID and when everything was locked down, I said, keep the hope, keep the faith, there'll be a better day. And I got attacked for 3 days. I'm like, how can you attack me so to keep the faith and the hope? Do you not want people to have hope and faith? Is that a bad thing now? And I was so stunned. I said, okay, I won't talk about it on the podcast, but I'm going to make my own podcast over here. And someday I'm going to get Triple J on to support what I'm saying. And here you are, man.
Well, listen, first of all, that's very flattering. I think that I think that people are people, and I have to understand that they're going to believe in what they believe. They're going to view things the way they view them. But at the same time, I'm going to have my views and I'm going to have my belief as well. And I'm not going to let anybody deter me from that. And I know January 30th, 2021, God woke me up that morning. Me and God had to have a talk, and God changed my life that morning because I acknowledged him, I prayed to him, and I put him in the driver's seat by saying, I can do this if you help me. And when I did that, God provided the answers that day. So I'm telling you, if you pray, if you have faith in God, things can turn around for you just like that in an instant. If you pray. Now, sometimes people have to wait a little bit longer, but it's about you being very serious about having faith in him and putting him first. When you do that, amazing things are going to happen. I guarantee it.
Man, I'll take it at that. I love it. Hey, Triple J, what's life's best medicine for you, man? I think I have an idea, but what's life's best medicine? Where do
Life
you find your inspiration? What gets you out of bed? What gets you going? Where do you say, hey, this is life's best medicine for me?
life is life's best medicine. To be able to wake up every day with the opportunity to do something better and greater than yesterday, that is life's best medicine. The opportunity to wake up again. You have the opportunity to go forward just one more time. God gave you grace and mercy through the night and you woke up. If that is not life's best medicine, I don't know what is, because that's the foundation. You got to wake up first before anything else happens. You got to wake up first. Once you get that opportunity to wake up, now you have taken the power in your hands and say, hey, I'm alive just one more time to do a little bit better. If you could ever tap into that appreciation, that gratitude for just waking up in the morning, then you have figured everything out. But a
Oh
lot of people
man.
aren't even grateful for waking up. They think they should just wake up anyway. I'm telling you, if you get the opportunity to wake up, opportunity, that is it. That is it. Because without that, nothing else is happening. So that's what gets me up in the morning. When I get up, I'm like, whoa, that's it. I got another day. Let's roll. I got another day. And so it helps me to see that I have been given grace and mercy to make it another day. Let's do a little bit better. Let's keep going. Let's keep going on the journey. Let's take it one day at a time. Don't worry about the finish line. Worry about where you're at right now in your journey and just keep pressing forward. Keep moving forward. Keep having the faith. Keep having the belief in yourself that you're going to make it. Keep having that belief in yourself. Because
Man, as
faith
soon as we get you fired up, I think you'll be all right, man. We got to get you out of that shell. Love it.
oh,
Love
well,
it, man.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I get excited because a dead man can't make no sound because he's below ground. And I tell them, holla if you hear me. I'm up here, I'm saying it loud, and they tell me I got too much energy. They tell me I should turn the volume down a little bit. I tell them, no, you turn it up because I have another opportunity to wake up.
Amen, man. Hey, tell people who you are, man. The heavyweight champion.
I am your reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the unbreakable Triple J. And you, my friend, can be a champion too.
Triple J, man, you're gonna take my job from me, man. Tell people as we're leaving, tell people where they can track you down and also about your podcast that I'm gonna make you do.
Well, I'm going to get the podcast going again. It's going to be called Unbreakable Change. It is. So I'm going to get that started back. Definitely going to do that, And so over on Instagram, I could be found. I could be found as the Unbreakable _ Triple J. On Facebook, I can be found as Jonathan Jerome Johnson. That is my social security card name. You know what I'm saying? You type in Jonathan Jerome Johnson, you will find me there, Barbara Johnson's baby boy. Then if you go on the Clubhouse app, You can find me as Unbreakable JJJ. So those are the platforms you can find me on. Soon you'll be able to find me on the podcast, spreading hope and faith around the world. So that's where you
Awesome
can find
stuff, man. Hey, it's so good to have you. I knew the second I saw you, I'm like, I have to have this guy on. He's awesome. So yeah, you're doing great stuff, and I'm so happy about your comeback. You made a huge comeback, and you're inspiring other people and passing it forward, and getting other people out of bed and helping them and helping with faith and health and all these things that really matter in life, figuring out life. So everyone, you really were blessed to hear that. Even if you don't think you're blessed, you were blessed to hear this. This is good stuff, and you want to listen to this one back a few times. There's so much life wisdom here and hope, and this is why I did the podcast. This is awesome stuff. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and you're taking a breath, you're out of bed, or listening. Even if you're in bed, keep the hope. One breath, one heartbeat at a time. So Triple J, excited to have you on. Thanks for joining me. Happy Mother's Day to you, man. I know you're running around helping mom get stuff ready today, and I got to go get ready for my Mother's Day too. So God bless you, man.
God bless you too. I'm on my way to the store to buy my mom a dozen red roses because that's what she asked for. So I'm about to go find some roses for my mama. I love my mother, and everybody, I hope you love your mothers too. You only get one. If you don't have one, somebody else is a mother out there. You got some aunties, you got some cousins that's mothers. So Mother's Day is important. Without the mothers, we wouldn't be here. Is that not correct? I think it is. So God bless you. You guys have a great and wonderful day. I enjoyed being on this podcast. And the last thing, always remember that faith in yourself and belief in yourself is one of the most powerful things that you can ever have on the inside of you. And once you have that, nobody can take that from you.
Amen. Thank you for listening to this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. We would greatly appreciate a positive thumbs up on all of the platforms like iTunes and Spotify or wherever you're listening. And we just thank you for our Patreon supporters. We greatly appreciate your help in getting this message out. We think there's a lot of important information, and hopefully this helps you. Have a great day, and thank you for listening, and thank you for your support.